Hi, my name is Logan, and today we are going to be talking about the causes of Great Depression. This was a time of sadness and just wasn't a good time at all. So, we're talking about the Great Depression, right? And I want to dig into the word depression for a bit, talk about the definition of it, because during this time, a lot of people felt depressed, and I feel like it's important to know what the word means. So, the word depression means is a low mood or loss of pleasure or interest in activities for long periods of time. So, let's say you're a person who normally enjoys football, okay? And you normally enjoy playing it with your friends and you just have a good old jolly time. But then, let's say for one day, you get out to play football, and for some reason, for whatever reason, you don't know why, you don't find the joy of football anymore with playing with your friends. And you don't just find this not enjoying football anymore, you find this with other activities like video games, maybe even other sports, maybe other activities. And it's just something you feel like you don't enjoy. And you think that this just might be one day, but then that one day turns into 2 days, and then that 2 days turns into a week, to a month, etc. And that pretty much means what you normally enjoy, you don't really enjoy it anymore. And that's a cause or effect, the main effect of depression. Now, let's talk about the actual Great Depression. Now, you hopefully know a little bit more about the word depression. So, it started around the year 1929 and ended in the year 1939. So, this Great Depression went around 10 years. That's how bad it was, and that's another reason why they called it the Great Depression. Now, let's get into the reason why they did it, like how the Great Depression started, and this is pretty much the main cause of it. Now, keep in mind there are other causes that we'll talk about later, but this is the main cause of it. It was due to 16 million shares of stock being sold quickly by panicking people who lost faith in the American economy. Now, this means that, let's say if you have a real successful business and it went really good for a few years, but then recently it went to a downfall and it's just not good anymore. So you find out that you now have to sell the company to someone else. And this was 16 million people doing this. This was 16 million people who lost faith in the American company. Like, for example, let's say if Nike's existed back then, I don't know if it did, this is just an example, but let's say if Nike's existed back then, and the owner of this, it's doing really well right now. But then it all of a sudden falls, and then he turns sad, and then has to sell it into a new businessman who will hopefully do something else with this. Now, what is the American company? An American company economy is a privately owned business, and government both play important roles. So this means where this means that the government and businesses, they do really well. That it's pretty much just companies, and it's pretty much just what they own, what they do, what they sell, etc. Now, now, here's the thing. Why were people panicking? Why did they lose faith in the American economy? Well, here are some reasons to this. The first reason is during this time, the stock market crashed, which meant people couldn't sell stuff. So, we talked about how they were panicking, right? And the reason is the stock market crashed. Now, this means, let's say if a person is selling some ice cream, okay? And normally a day, let's say this person gets about $10 a day, and around a month that would turn about around $100 if they sold it for a month. All right. So that means they get $100 and their business is doing really well. But let's say if one day a lot of people don't come to the ice cream truck anymore. Let's say they don't really want ice cream, or and keep in mind this is during summertime, and a lot of people don't want to buy the ice cream anymore. That means that the stock market, the stuff they used to buy, the stuff they used to sell, it's not doing anything anymore. That means the stock market has crashed. This turned into banks failing as well, since the system during this time failed. This meant that with the stock markets crashing and the bad stuff doing this stuff, this means that the bank, pretend this is like a bank here with a little dollar sign. Pretend this is a bank. That means they're failing. That means the banks aren't making any money because it's just not happening, right? And that means people get money. This means that the banks are even failing. This just means that money was a really bad time. And with this happening, with people not getting a lot of money, with the banks not working, this caused into effect of people losing jobs, which means not a lot of money could be spent. So let's take back to the ice cream truck, okay? Now let's say this ice cream truck has 5 employees. However, with this ice cream truck not doing so well anymore, and with it going out of business because the owner ain't paying the debts, that means the owner needs to make budget cuts. And with the owner making budget cuts, that means he has to let go of one of the employees. And that means they lose their job, they don't get a lot of money, and it's just not a good time. And also to mention, during this time there was very bad weather which talked about a dust bowl. Now, this meant that during this time there was very bad weather, okay? And I mean very bad weather. And I'm not talking just about like a thunderstorm. I'm not talking about a regular rainstorm. I mean a dust bowl. This means the dust bowl, it just caused a lot of dust, caused a lot of problems, caused a lot of health problems. But I won't talk about that too much because another group is talking about that. And yeah, that's another important thing to know. So now that we know why they panicked, now we know pretty much why they panicked, why they lost faith. Now we're going to talk about the other reasons of what happened. So, why the Great Depression started, we're going to be talking about more reasons of that. Another reason is unequal distribution of wealth. So, I don't mean like getting a job, your partner may get a little bit more money an hour because they got a raise. I mean, like, let's go back to that ice cream truck, okay? There are 5 employees to this ice cream truck. Now, let's say these 2 people, they only get $3 an hour, right? But these 3 workers get $10 an hour. And this means that the ice cream owner likes these three more, and that's being unequal. That's why, that's one of the reasons. Another reason is overproduction. So let's go back to Nikes, right? So Nikes make shoes. So let's say if there are way too many shoes to count, right? So let's say usually in a day they're supposed to make 100 shoes per day. But one day, for some reason, a worker decided to make 200 shoes. That's overproduction. That's another reason, the Great Depression. And the last reason, high levels of consumer debt. So that means, let's go back to the ice cream truck. The owner of that ice cream truck, let's say about a month, in order to keep the ice cream truck, he needs to pay $100 a month in order to keep the truck. Okay? Now, let's say the ice creams ain't selling. They just ain't selling enough. That means that he's going to debt, and that's another reason, the Great Depression. So, these are the reasons of the Great Depression. I hope you enjoy me talking about it. And yeah, that's going to be it for this video. I hope you enjoyed me talking about it. It was important information I felt that needed to be talked about. And yeah, that's going to be it for today's video. Hope you enjoyed. See you later.